Right, this next video is Edge of 17. This was the 12th show of the Belladonna tour. There were only 12 shows done because I had to get back to Fleetwood Mac, and I had already put in almost a year making the Belladonna record, doing the press, and doing these shows. So it was about 5 weeks of shows. There's a lot of interesting facets to this whole performance here. First of all, I've just been told by my goddaughter, who was 9 years old when this happened, that her dad went to find her because I requested her presence because I was so nervous that I was hysterically crying. So her dad went and got her. And when he brought her in, there was a very interesting guy dressed in purple who was, of course, Prince. And Prince and I were already friends. And he said, you know, good luck. I know you'll be great. And he left. And my goddaughter and I stayed in there for the next 5 minutes, and I cried. I was so nervous. She says, and honestly, I don't even remember any of this, but this was Los Angeles, California. If you were ever going to be good, this was the place to be really good. This was the Beverly Wilshire Theater. I'm trying to think if in Fleetwood Mac, since 1975, if even Fleetwood Mac ever actually filmed an entire show with a big video director like Marty Callner. And I don't think Fleetwood Mac ever was filmed for an entire show. I think we were filmed for bits and pieces. You know, there was a little bit of Rhiannon, a little bit of Gypsy, Sisters of the Moon, you know, some of the songs that came out as little live performance videos, but I don't think we ever did what we were doing here. This song was written about John Lennon. I was in Australia. It seems like I'm in Australia a lot over my lifetime. But I was in Australia when John Lennon was shot. And I was, of course, so devastated, as we all were. Whether you were a rock star or a lawyer, everybody was devastated. And I didn't know John Lennon, but I knew him through Jimmy Iovine, who had worked with John quite a bit in the 70s. And just all the loving stories that Jimmy had told me about John Lennon was, you know, it's almost as good as knowing somebody when you know somebody that happens to be your boyfriend that spent a lot of time with John Lennon. When I came back from Australia, I went to Phoenix, to my house, to my Bosendorfer, and I started to write this song. Right when I got to Phoenix, my Uncle Bill, who's my dad's older brother, got cancer and got very, very sick very fast and died in a couple of weeks. And the strange thing about that death was that my cousin John Nix and me were in the room with Michael when he died. And where was his brothers? Where was my dad and his younger brother and the wives and all the other relatives? We don't know. There was just John and I there. So that was like part of this song when it says I went running down the hallways looking for somebody. I thought, where's my mom, or where is his wife, or where's my dad, his brother, you know, where's the family? So at that point I went back to the piano and finished this song. So it really became a song about violent death, which was very scary to me because really in my family at that point nobody had really died. And so to me, the white-winged dove was, for John Lennon, the dove of peace. And the white-winged dove for my uncle is the white-winged dove that lives in the saguaro cactus, and that's how I found out about the white-winged dove. And the white-winged dove actually does make a sound that is like, hoo, hoo, hoo. So when I found that out, I read that somewhere in Phoenix. So I thought, well, I'm going to definitely use that for this song. So the white-winged dove became, as you can see on my face, in all ways exciting and sad and tragic and incredibly dramatic. And every time I sing this song, whether it was here or whether it's last month, I have that ability to go back to that 2-month period where it all came down. This song became the last song that I do in my set. And as Led Zeppelin would say, the song remains the same. I've never changed it. I can't imagine ending my show with any other song than this song. The vocals are the same. The harmonies are the same. Only sometimes the players change. And I was so sad that it was kind of like, I am unable to hear you. So much was going on and I can't even hear you. It's such a strong, private moment that I share with people in this song. I think by the time I got to this song in this show, I knew this show was good. I knew that we'd done a really good job. And I also knew that tomorrow, the next day, I was going back to Fleetwood Mac. So I was thrilled that the record had done really well and was high up in the charts, and that my 12 shows had done amazingly well. I was thrilled that I had worked my set out and that it was successful and that people seemed to love it. But I was also really sad because I knew in a way it was all over when I walked off the stage this night, that the entire solo career was over. And I was on my way to rejoin Fleetwood Mac to start doing Mirage. So it was hello and it was goodbye, and it was great and it was sad. And this is maybe the first night that we call it the walk that I do at the end of this song. This is probably the first real time that this happened, because this certainly never happened in Fleetwood Mac, because there's 5 stars in Fleetwood Mac, so you could never do this. Little did I know that this would be something that would become such a part of my solo career. And little did I know that I would get so much loot that I would have to start giving all this stuff to children's hospitals, which ended up to be so great because I only have so many houses and I can only fit so much stuff in my houses, especially like this big picture frame. So I had to say to that person, I really can't take that. So this was me saying goodbye to my solo career and hoping it started up again someday, and being thrilled that it had all worked out so amazingly and that I had a solo career. So I couldn't have been happier in so many, many, many ways. I could not have been happier. That was the first of many, many Snoopies that I got. And this was Los Angeles, California, so I thought, well, Stevie, you did a really good job tonight. And your band, Waddy Wachtel, your musical director, and your dear friend from 1971, the two of you, Lori Nix and Sharon Ceylani, we pulled it off. And we did good.